This weekend was one of the greatest fight sport weekends in history.
Yeah.
Errol Spence Jr., Terrence Bud Crawford fight for the unified 147-pound championship.
Yeah.
Bud just outclasses.
I mean, yeah, dude. I was rooting for Spence. He's a Dallas guy.
Yeah.
I ordered the fight. I'm watching just knockdown after knockdown. I'm like, what the fuck is it? People say this is one of the greatest matchups ever.
If you want to look at...
Both undefeated.
Yeah, both undefeated, both incredibly dominant in their careers. But if you want to look at actual elite boxing skill, you're not going to find another fight like this. I mean, there's only few in history where both are elite fighters and tons of action. That's the thing that happens in a lot of when elite fighters fight each other. A lot of times it's not a lot of action because both are so good. They're canceling out each of their advantages. And it's like, okay, maybe you're going to get some strikes, maybe you're going to get some touches, but it can be boring. This was two guys that were said, I'm going to go after it. I am not running. I'm not taking a step back. To Errol Spence Jr.'s credit, he was game till they stopped that fight.
Yeah.
He had no quit in him. Bro. That guy is a fucking dog. Like, say whatever you want about him getting beat, and he got beat convincingly. He has fucking heart, bro. Yeah. He was going after it, and he made that fight interesting because it's easy to step back and go, okay, I'm gonna try to stick and use the jab, get on my bicycle, move away, not let this guy touch me because he was getting outboxed. But he's like, no, I'm a dog. I'm gonna get in there. I'm gonna throw these body shots. If I get caught, I get caught, and he did. And then there's Bud Crawford, and all the credit to Bud, man. That was an unbelievable performance. Elite boxing, never off balance, not for a second. Every punch he threw, he was completely on balance. Every time that he swung, he was within range. His defense was impeccable. I mean, this was one of the most glorious boxing performances I've ever seen in my entire life. I've been watching boxing since I'm a kid. This man, it felt like I was watching Floyd. Like, it was just stylistically different, but the balance. You never see Floyd off balance.
Yeah.
And you never saw Bud reaching too far. Yeah. You never saw his ability to throw with power. Every single time, the jab, snapping. Yeah. One of those guys who's he's a natural right-handed dude, but he fights southpaw. So his strong hands in his front. Oscar De La Hoya is one of these guys that is, great. But his popping the jab and his counters and always on balance. It was just beautiful. This was like immaculate boxing. If there was a way to get people excited about boxing again, it was watching this fight. And it was so interesting because we were watching it at the casino in AC after the show, and thank you so much everybody who came out to the show, man. That was awesome. You were watching at the sport book, and you had the UFC fight on, and you had the boxing match on.
You get to watch both. That's great.
And you saw the energy completely shift once the final card came on for boxing.
Yeah.
Once Errol Spence and Bud Crawford were fighting, the energy of the whole sports book was about the boxing match.
Yeah.
Every fight before that in boxing, nobody gave a fuck about. Like, nobody gave a fuck. It was all about the UFC. I mean, one of the things that, and Vala pointed this out, that like UFC really exposed, especially when we were watching them side to side, is that when we were watching the Pitbull Cruz fight, which was on the undercard, right? Yeah. Shout out to Pitbull Cruz, he's an excellent fighter. That fight went 12 rounds. 3 different UFC fights happened within that 12-round fight, and each of them were like ended in devastating fashion and exciting. It was like, we just got 3 for the price of 1.
Yeah.
But in terms of enjoyment, we got 20x enjoyment.
Yeah.
Nobody even was looking at the boxing or even cheering for the nothing. And it was just, UFC is such, especially on the undercards, an unbelievably engaging sport. You can't look away.
Yeah.
Boxing is only engaging at the most elite.
Yeah.
Even when you watch the younger guys that are just going to dominate and knock the other guy out, it's boring. It's boring. It's too one-sided and it's whack. When you see that high-level chess match, when you saw what happened with Spence and Crawford, that is elite entertainment. And that's what the UFC can do. The UFC can match up fighters that are on equal levels and create interesting fights. With boxing, since they're not all owned by the same promoter or contracted by the same promoter, they can't risk it. You've got a young, talented fighter. You can't risk them taking a loss. So you put them up against Tomato Cam for 20 fights. And then at the end of their career, Bud is 35. Errol's 33. Like, this is old for boxing. Then they fight. If this was UFC, they would have fought 3 times by now before they're 30 years old. So you seeing them side by side really exposes the advantages that the UFC has.
Yeah.
But I will say, technical elite boxing is
Nothing's like it.
so entertaining.
It is so.
This was the first boxing match that I watched. I was like, oh, this is like at the time more entertaining than any of the UFC fights.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and there's also an interesting racial divide that happens because the second that boxing match was over, every black person left the sports book. Every single black person left the sports book.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And so black people and Latinos, but Latinos also like the UFC, but black people specifically are holding down boxing.
Yeah.
And that's why you see the biggest fights are when you have black Gervonta Davis, Bud Crawford, Errol Spence, or Latino, like who's the guy that Gervonta just beats?
Ryan Garcia.
Ryan Garcia. Like they are really holding boxing together. But in terms of like white people in America, they've really kind of shifted over to UFC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
It feels like that.
Is it because they're not as
On
good?
a casual level, sorry. On a casual, the casual fan,
Yeah.
the white casual used to be a white casual boxing fan.
Yeah.
Now they're a white casual.
Is it because they're not dominating boxing at all? Like they're
Who,
they
the
don't-
whites?
Yeah, they don't have. They got Tyson Fury, but I don't know any other white boxers.
My boy, whites haven't dominated boxing in about 200.
But now they got an alternative. Now they got UFC where it's like, oh, we're still dominating
Seeing
that.
yourself be reflected is always better. Jeremy Lin for boxing.
I mean, it's just like a cultural
hard
thing
not
too.
to.
Like if you don't hang out with a lot of black people, you might not know that there's a boxing fight happening.
And
I
also
had no idea
the
that
culture
was-
that you're like intertwined with, like if you're like a white dude, right, who is into fitness and you're listening to the most popular podcast ever, Joe Rogan, you're hearing him talk about high level UFC fights and you're seeing it like permeate the culture that is outside of just boxing, but just comedy culture, podcasting culture. Like think about how much UFC talk there is across comedy podcasts.
Yeah.
There's not as much boxing and there's not as many boxers that are coming in and like blending and seeing that. Like we should have Bud Crawford. Bud should be here right now. And they should see the value too. Like we should have Gervonta. Like their managers should be like, holy shit.
Yeah.
There's been so many UFC fighters that have been built up through podcasting and through these types of experience. Get them on Rogan, get them on Flagrant, get them on these podcasts that can blow it up.
That's true.
Yeah.
Why do you think Crawford was so dominant? I'm curious.
Balance. His balance and timing. I think he's a harder puncher and he's a faster puncher than Spence. And Spence has this like really beautiful, relentless pressure that he works behind the jab. And he's really interesting fighter. It's all working behind the jab and he does this great body work. But he couldn't get Crawford off balance. And Crawford was faster to the punch. So like, when he would try to work him, he couldn't effectively get inside because Crawford was catching him as he was trying to come in. So it was costly to come in. And the hands, his hands, Errol Spence's hands weren't heavy enough to get Crawford to go, I got to cover up.
Yeah, I think that's what made this. I think power made the
And
difference.
nobody thought that was going to be the case.
Yeah.
Crawford's coming up from 135. Spence should probably be at 154 by now. He's a big guy. But for whatever reason,
But I heard Crawford pretty much walks around at his fighting weight. And I think that's going to be, like, fighters are going to start saying, like, hey, if
There's advantages in
Yeah.
that.
That's what Floyd did,
If you
right?
don't have to cut like that, like, you're way stronger. And you probably
it's
in better
debatable
condition.
though, because you earlier in your career when you can lose the weight and then recover, you want to do that because you're just so much more powerful. You're adding 20 pounds of power on a punch if you can add that the next day. What you lose sometimes is your chin. Somebody was breaking this down on the podcast, but they were talking about like there's a liquid barrier between your brain and your skull.
Blood-brain
Blood-brain barrier, but I think there's also some like actual water and fluid that's in that. So the more dehydrated you are, the easier you are to knock out because you just don't have as much of that hydration separating your skull from your brain. That's what the guy said. I don't know how much truth is here, but they do say that you can be a little bit what's called chinny if you're really, really dehydrated. But you have an advantage in power if you can come down.
I think if they can, from all combat sports, they should remove like the cutting weight.
That would be great.
I think they should.
And the thing that you notice with Crawford is it wasn't one punch that was hurting him. It was the combination of punches, right? It was like every time he could get up, Errol could get up.
Yeah.
But he just was going to keep getting battered.
Yeah.
Did you think there was anything wrong with Errol? Because that's what I'm seeing some. You think that's just selling a rematch?
Maybe. I just, from what I saw, Errol's power wasn't significant enough to make Crawford question his decisions when he countered.
Yeah. Even when he got touched, it would just like snap him and he was back. Like he never got wobbled. He never got disoriented at all.
Yeah. Because if you're a counterpuncher and you're not really worried about getting hurt, you can start taking some risks.
Yeah.
You can sit in the pocket. You can throw. Like there's that great moment where Crawford knocked Spence down with an uppercut on the inside. So Spence was trying to crowd him. Remember that? And then he throws it. You're only throwing a front hand uppercut against a fighter that has been throwing looping left hands. If you're confident that if that left hand lands, you can take it.
Yeah.
This is a dangerous shot. You're throwing a looping left hand. So that means this hand is coming over the top.
Yeah.
Completely open. You're only throwing that if you're like, I think I can handle that power.
Take a couple of these.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what it looked like. I mean, both of them, to Spence's credit, but like both of them were staying close.
Yeah.
And like the proximity was right there.
It was beautiful, man. Like, I mean, it was beautiful to see like two dogs, like both of them dogs.
And he stuck it out more rounds than I thought, I'll be honest. Like after what, the fourth or fifth, I was like,
you could stop
and
it.
how many rounds did it go? 8?
I think 8.
Yeah.
It just kept coming forward, man. Like,
That's
so
impressive.
much respect. So
I
much
remember watching the
respect.
5th round being like, what do you do? Like
Yeah.
you're getting like touched way more. You can't, like, even when you're connecting, it's not actually shaking him.
Yeah.
And like that must be such a debilitating position to be in mentally.
Yeah.
The doctor's coming out, fucking checking you, and you're like,
Yeah.
like the mental roadblock to get through 3 more rounds of that is
Oh,
phenomenal.
100%. Imagine that. The doctor comes in and says, are you okay in front of 20,000 people?
Oh yeah.
But 20,000.
Yeah, yeah, defeated
Millions,
at that
bro.
point.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Other people at home, too.
Crazy.
But both of them are going to make life-changing money, as they deserve. Bud is going to get the credit that he deserves for the type of boxer and the level of boxer he is. Like, a lot of great things come from this.
Yeah.
If they fight again, cool. If not, there are tons of interesting fights for Errol. You know what I mean? Like, Errol fighting Ryan Garcia, both coming off a loss.
Yeah, that's
both big
interesting.
names.
Bud has nobody to fight now, though.
Gervonta. Now, I don't think Gervonta will come up,
He's not gonna come up.
but that is what people would love to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even think Gervonta should come up. I think Gervonta probably naturally is a 135er.
Yeah.
So he's already coming up to 140. But like there are people. There's the Charlo brother, who's I think at 154 and 160, but maybe they could find a catch weight. Like there's some names out there.
What does Crawford normally fight at?
147.
Okay.
What about Devin Haney?
Haney's 140.
How about Shakur Stevenson? I've heard.
Yeah, Shakur Stevenson I think is 140 as well. But I think they're like I think that's his mentor. Like Shakur's
okay.
mentor is Bud. Like,
I obviously don't know much, but Matt McCoy, our friend comedian who
Yeah.
boxes, was like, yo, Shakur, that guy could be, he's got the potential to be the best ever.
yeah, there's a guy named Boots Ennis who had a great outing that he might. There's a lot of guys in that weight class that could be really fun, interesting fights. But
Yeah. How much credit do you give Eminem for the win?
all credit goes to Eminem.
All credit.
Dude, honestly,
I thought he was gonna lose once I saw him walking out with Eminem. I was like, oh, this is
Picking a white guy for boxing is bold.
Yeah, I know,
that's a
like-
confident move.
bro, it was brilliant though because Eminem is arguably the biggest superstar in the history of rap
In his day, yeah.
in any day. Like there isn't one since that's reached
Oh, yeah,
that.
I'm saying his peak versus anybody else's peak was
Yeah,
nuts.
that's what I'm saying. Like, so you have the biggest superstar in the history of rap walking you out, right? Now this doesn't feel like, oh, this is a specific cultural demographic of boxing and black people that know about this. It goes, all the white people that didn't know who Bud Crawford was or like maybe Fringe knew, see Eminem walking out and they're like, oh, this must have been a big fight. I missed this fucking fight.
Yeah. If this is big enough for Eminem to be there, like, why did I
Eminem's
know
never
about this?
walked out anybody.
Yeah.
It's like Jay-Z walking out somebody.
Yeah.
You'd be like, what the fuck?
Oh, this is a big deal.
Bro, if Jay-Z walked out Dustin Poirier or something, what would black people think about that UFC
oh,
fight?
that's our guy now. That's our guy.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, what a great strategic move right there.
You know, it wasn't even strategic. He just went on Twitter like a couple days before. He's like, "Who wants to walk me out?"
Yeah.
And Eminem replied to
Yeah.
it. That's
that's
exactly
amazing.
how it happened.
And how cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
amazing.
So, yeah, anyway.
Oh, that's awesome.
Fire. Very cool fight. And also shout out to Dustin and Justin Gaethje and
Yeah,
I mean, what an
that?
amazing UFC card,
knockout
man.
was
Yeah.
Yeah.
great.
Oh, by the way, if you want tickets to UFC 292, Sterling and O'Malley,
Yes.
UFC.com. They're giving away 2 tickets and $2,000. Hit that up.
Okay,
If,
we'll put the thing on the screen so everybody knows. But make sure you go do that. Go up to Boston, see that fight. That fight will be absolutely sensational. You know those boys are going to go at it. Yeah, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje had just this unbelievable game plan. I mean, Dustin Poirier, that I don't think gets enough credit for having one of the sneakiest defenses in fight sports.
What does that mean, a sneaky defense?
Like, the way that he defends, he has this like great shell, and he's really hard to hit clean.
Okay.
And like, but like he'll move his hands, he'll use like his elbows. It's like, it's almost he does like, he has like almost like a Philly shell, elements of the Philly shell, but he'll also use it to block kicks and
Where's the
everything.
Philly shell? Sorry.
It's how Floyd fights, where it's like one arm down, use your
Okay.
left shoulder to block right hands that are coming in, and then also your right to parry jabs.
Okay.
Anyway, so he uses all these things, but he's really hard to hit flush. Like if you notice, it's rare that he gets hit flush. And even the kick that Justin landed, I've never seen Justin throw a head kick in the entire time that I've been watching him.
Yeah, he's there. Like
He blocks it
Yeah.
with the right hand, but it comes and wraps around and hits him on the back of the head. So one great strategic move by Justin and his camp to go for a head kick when nobody would expect that he would even throw that. He usually chews up your legs, you know? And then two, just like great fight, both of them, great attitude afterwards, like tons of admiration for one another.
Yeah.
Like,
Bro, the backflip off the cage.
That's crazy.
How do you do like that's insane.
yeah, just
like after
crazy.
just getting your leg kicked for 2 rounds, and then all of a sudden you do a backflip.
Yeah.
It's wild.
I mean, just awesome UFC card. Shout out to Poatan.
Derek Lewis is hilarious.
Derek Lewis,
That was so
all-time
funny.
My favorite.
hysterical.
That was
My
so
absolute
funny.
favorite.
Yeah, that's my guy now.
Balls are hot, bro. Balls are hot.
First round, flying knee and just pummel him. Who did he do that to? He fought some guy in COVID and just like walked him down 10 seconds and just like destroyed him. Do you remember this? I can't remember who it was, but it was the same exact thing. He just like destroyed him, and then same thing. Pants come off immediately. My balls is hot.
Yeah, dude.
It's like the greatest.
And then they asked him about it. He was like, I just wanted to try some wild shit to start the fight.
Yeah.
He said something like that. There's no real strategy. Like, what's his name? Masvidal was like, I saw there was a weakness with Askren that I could come at him with this and he wouldn't be ready. Derek Lewis was like, man, I just wanted to try some shit.
I lost a bunch of weight. I want to jump.
Bro, you saw his abs come
Yeah,
through
the
a little
abs,
bit? He got
yeah.
the abs going. I don't know. It was just so impressive. That was a great fight.
I mean, awesome. Just like we are so lucky we got to witness that boxing card and that UFC card at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we're so lucky.
Yeah, that was fire.
So lucky. And enjoy it, man.
And then the Pereira-Blachowicz fight, how was that? I didn't get to see it.
I thought Poatan showed unbelievable defense on the wrestling. Like his wrestling and ground defense. I mean, if you remember Blachowicz when he fought Izzy, he didn't really try to attack Izzy on the ground.
Yeah.
He just held him on the ground.
Just laid on him.
Which is, I think, more difficult to counter. When you're trying to attack, you risk putting yourself out of position and
Right.
someone can get out. And I think Jan was like, if this goes to the feet, I'm at a major disadvantage against Izzy because he's arguably the greatest striker in the history of MMA. So it's like you could, but I think with Jan and Poatan, I think he wanted to try to see if he could get something going on the ground. He's like, I think my best chances are I can choke him out. And Poatan was able to defend it. I mean, I would love to see Poatan go win the belt, and then Izzy and him fight for a third time for the belt at light heavyweight. Izzy becomes 2-division champ, and then if Izzy wants, challenge John Jones at heavyweight, and then 3-division.
That's a
biggest
come up.
fight in MMA history, and we'll see what happens.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then he retires and becomes a rapper.
Just rap. After that, you rap.
Rap
bro.
forever, dude. Oh, that's fire.
Yeah, so that's cool. Okay, what else we got, boys?
All right, Twitter's rebranded to X. Do you want to talk about this?
Yo, Twitter can do anything they want now that Threads is a dud. Threads is over, bro. Stop posting.
Why do you think it's over?
It's over.
Why do you think it's over?
There's no culture on it. There's no culture on it. They didn't offer anything new that we could create culture around. So it's just another place to tweet and then potentially dilute your content. right? So you're like, am I going to do a Twitter thread? Am I going to do a tweet thread on Threads and then have to repeat this whole shit on Twitter? It's too much. It's kind of like there can be some work that goes into a tweet. You know, you're like sitting there.
I mean, if you're one of these people that do like long, like 20 tweet threads, like
that's a pain in the ass to repeat that over on Threads when you've already done it on Twitter. It just didn't offer a new thing. It's like, let's say you put out a new iPhone. There needs to be something seductive about the new iPhone. I remember there was a time where it was FaceTime. It was a time where there was 3 fucking cameras on the outside and they had the super zoom. You just need to give me something that makes me feel like mine is antiquated and I need to jump on.
Right.
But it was an exact replica of a thing that we already have.
Yeah. I agree. Threads sucks, but I will say this in terms of Twitter just doing whatever they want to. They're not competing with Threads. They're competing with Instagram. They're competing with TikTok. You know, I think we saw the thing. He's trying to make this like a WeChat one-stop shop. So just because Threads bomb doesn't mean Twitter is going to win. You know what I mean? It's losing money. Been losing money.
Yes.
So how do you think Elon's going to make it profitable? Is the X going to help?
I don't know. This X thing is so peculiar. I don't even get it.
My feeling is like when it's so bizarre and the move seems so out of left field, I feel like I don't know what he's up to.
He's up to something. He must be up to something because it makes no sense.
I can't tell if I'm gaslighting myself, but like I don't think he's a stupid guy. So when he's doing something that makes no sense at all, I'm like, oh, there's a play here that's bigger than he's leading on.
Me. I mean that in terms of, I think what he wants to do is create like a financial backbone as part of it, right? So you can send each other money on it. You can maybe pay for things, etc.
He wants to copy WeChat in China.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what WeChat?
That's what he said. Yeah.
It's like a one-stop shop. You order food on there. You do everything on this one app.
It's like an all-in-one app that like is the most popular app in China. It's literally everything. You can video call. You can do like voice text. You can do Snapchat basically. You can do like moments like Instagram stories. You can do posting content. You can order stuff. You can pay with stuff. You can do tap to pay. Like everything is in this one app.
Okay, so how does X work better with that system?
I think it just becomes the app, and if it's the app, it's profitable.
X marks the spot.
X marks. Yeah. Oh, how does the term?
Like even the terminology, like X me. Hey, can you buy some? I'm gonna pay the whatever. Yeah, just X me.
Yeah, I'll X it and then I'll hit you back.
Yeah, that's better. I'll Twitter it. I'll tweet.
I think that's what he's up against, where he's like, okay, if this is going to become the one-stop shop for everything ever, and all commerce is done under this app,
it has to be bigger than just.
People are going to look at it and be like, oh, that's the Twitter thing. Like, like I'm not going to tweet money to you.
Yeah.
Does that like? I feel like they're dealing with Twitter had such good branding for what it was, and now he's trying to make it into something.
What
different.
is X? X is a variable in math, right? So it's anything you want it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just.
Is he back in control? Because I remember a few
I think
months
he has a CEO, but he's also involved.
Yeah, I know he's involved, but is he back the CEO of X now? Since it's like a different thing.
I'm assuming the CEO is still the same.
Okay.
Yeah, I figured
That's my assumption. But yeah. So that's what I'm assuming. Like, all these people that are like, oh, he's so stupid. Like, I don't know if he's stupid.
I love people calling. You can call him stupid for things outside of business. Like if you want to be like, oh, you spend 80% of your time or 90% of your time at the office and you have all these children and you're not as involved in like their upbringing.
Your names for your kids are stupid.
Or exactly. Like there's things
those are just alien names.
So he wishes. Yeah. So I think those are one of the things where like if you're coming from someone who the way that you value life is the time that you spend with your family or with the things that you're really passionate about outside of building these businesses, you might be like, oh, it's stupid to dedicate time in that way.
Yeah.
But to say that he's stupid for business moves, you got to be really smart to do that. You got to have a lot of, you know what I mean? Like if Warren Buffett was like, yeah, I think this is stupid, I'd be like, all right, let me hear you out. But average Twitter user that works for DHL is going to say that Elon is stupid for changing into X without even knowing why. Yeah. What the thinking behind it is.
I'm like, maybe it might not work out. The whole thing might go belly up. He might lose $44 billion. I don't know. That's to be seen. But there is like an intentional plan to try to level it up and take a huge like leap to try to change the whole company and everything. That is admirable and interesting.
Will he get rid of the $8 paywall? Because it's way more people are going to use X if you can access everything you need to access without a paywall. That's just life.
Is the paywall just for the blue checks, or do they change it?
Paywall is just for blue checks, but I assume it gives you can delete tweets within X amount of time. You can do all these little things with the blue check that you can't do without.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I think the refresh rate, you can only look at a certain number of tweets without the blue check, and then with it, you can, not unlimited, but it's a way higher number. So like, there's all these little limitations they're putting on people who aren't paying $8 a month, as opposed to people who are paying $8 a month.
That's interesting.
Now, if you want this to be an all-in-one app, I'm not paying $8 a month to Venmo you. I'm not paying $8 a month
Exactly.
to
He'll
Cash
get it in
App.
the transaction fee.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be some other
He'll
thing.
get his money in the transaction. Like if you're buying food on it, you're doing all those things, there's going to be a little piece that comes over to them. And
Yeah.
now they have more ways to profit. I think the issue with Twitter right now is that you really can't monetize it outside of ads and the subscription thing. So the more things that come up that are going to be usable that they can monetize, the less that I think they'll care about the
Yeah, so we're
subscription.
thinking they throw out this $8.
No, I don't think they throw it out. I think
Or
they still
keep
offer it as a feature.
Yeah, it's like if you have the subscription, then we'll charge you less transaction fees or no transaction fees.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Like a
Like Amazon
YouTube,
Prime.
Amazon Prime, or
YouTube
like
Premium
a
is
YouTube
no ads.
Premium, like
Yeah.
yeah. So 100%.